I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
MAGA divorce, Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation, and the future of the populist right. Welcome to the Political Pulse. I'm your host, and today we're dissecting a political earthquake that has sent shockwaves through the Republican Party and the very foundation of the Make America Great Again movement. We're talking about the stunning announcement from Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the firebrand Georgia Republican, that she will be resigning from Congress effective January 5th, 2026. For years, MTG was one of Donald Trump's most loyal and vocal allies, a torchbearer for the populist right. Now she's walking away, and the reason is a dramatic, public, and deeply personal fallout with the former president himself. This isn't just a political spat, it's a MAGA divorce. The central question we're exploring today is this: what does this high-profile split, this fracturing at the top of the populist movement, mean for the future of MAGA? Is this the beginning of a new, purer America First movement, or is it a sign that the Trump-era coalition is finally cracking under the weight of its own internal contradictions? Stay with us. The breakup, Epstein threats, and the battered wife. Let's start with the immediate catalyst for this political drama. The news broke late last week, and the details are as explosive as you might expect. Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation comes after months of escalating tension with Donald Trump, but the final straw appears to be her stance on the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Greene was one of the Republicans who pushed for the full, unredacted release of documents related to the late financier and convicted sex offender. This move, she claims, is what sent him over the edge. In her 4-page resignation statement, Greene did not mince words, saying she refused to be a battered wife. She stated, and I quote, "Standing up for American women who were raped at 14, trafficked, and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for." The language is raw, personal, and highly charged. It frames her departure not as a retreat, but as a moral stand against the very man she helped empower. Trump's reaction was equally sharp. He had already publicly criticized Greene, calling her wacky and a lunatic. When asked about her resignation, he was quoted as saying it was great news. This is a complete reversal from a relationship that was once defined by mutual admiration and political support. The immediate political fallout is also significant. Her departure in January will narrow House Speaker Mike Johnson's already razor-thin majority, making the already difficult task of governing even more precarious. But the deeper implications lie in the ideological schism this feud has exposed. The ideological divide, America First versus Trumpism. The Epstein files were the spark, but the kindling for this fire has been gathering for months. Greene's resignation statement and her recent public comments reveal a profound ideological split that goes beyond personalities. It's a debate over what America First truly means. Greene has been increasingly critical of the Trump administration's policies, arguing that the president has lost his way and is no longer prioritizing the common American. Her list of grievances is long and specific. She criticized his administration's support for Israel, arguing that America First should mean America First and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America First in our halls of government. This is a clear shot at the more traditional interventionist wing of the Republican Party that Trump has often embraced, a wing Greene labels as neocons. She also broke with Trump on domestic issues, including his administration's stance on H-1B visas for skilled foreign workers, AI regulation, and even extending Obamacare subsidies. For Greene, these are all symptoms of a larger problem, a political industrial complex of both parties that is ripping this country apart. This is the core of the ideological divide. Issue, Marjorie Taylor Greene's stance, pure populism. Donald Trump's stance, pragmatic Trumpism. Epstein files, full release, moral stand for victims. Opposed, lie silent, viewed as a political liability. Foreign policy, strict non-interventionism. America First and only. Support for key allies, see Israel. More traditional GOP foreign policy. Domestic policy, against H-1B visas, against AI regulation, against Obamacare subsidies. More flexible, willing to compromise or adopt traditional GOP positions. The movement. Populist movement against the establishment, including Trump's establishment. Populist movement led by Trump demanding personal loyalty. Greene is essentially arguing that Trump has become the very establishment figure he once railed against. She fears being replaced by what she calls the elite donor class and the military-industrial war complex, This suggests she sees herself as the true inheritor of the populist, anti-establishment spirit that fueled the MAGA movement in the first place. The future of MAGA fracturing or rebranding. So, what does this mean for the future of the MAGA movement? This is not the first time a prominent figure has broken with Trump, but Greene's profile, her deep connection to the grassroots, her fundraising prowess, and her visibility makes this split particularly significant. The consensus among political analysts is that this feud underscores a growing divide on the populist right. The movement is now facing a critical identity crisis. Is MAGA a personality cult centered entirely on Donald Trump, or is it a durable, transferable ideology? Greene's move suggests a belief in the latter. By resigning and hinting at a future political path, she is attempting to take the America First brand with her, away from the man who popularized it. She is positioning herself as the leader of a purer, more uncompromising populist wave. This split could have two major outcomes. 1. The fracturing of the populist base. If Greene successfully mobilizes her base outside of the Republican Party structure, it could lead to a permanent schism. This would be disastrous for the GOP, potentially splitting the vote in key elections and weakening the party's overall power. 2. The rebranding of America First. Alternatively, this could be a necessary evolution. The America First ideology, as defined by Greene, might become a more radical, anti-establishment force, one that is willing to challenge the Republican Party leadership, even if it means challenging Trump himself. The movement may be shifting from a personality-driven phenomenon to a more policy-driven one, albeit a very extreme one. The fact that Trump felt the need to publicly attack her and call her resignation great news shows he recognizes the threat she poses to his control over the movement. He is attempting to excise a part of the movement that he can no longer control. Greene's final words in her statement were a promise to return to the people and rebuild the country when they realize they possess the real power over Washington. This is a clear signal that her political career is far from over. She may be leaving the House, but she is likely preparing to lead a new, more radicalized wing of the populist right from the outside. In conclusion, Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation is more than just a headline, it's a political inflection point. It marks the most significant internal challenge to Donald Trump's authority over the MAGA movement to date. The MAGA divorce has exposed the deep underlying tensions between personal loyalty to Trump and adherence to a strict, uncompromising America First ideology. As Greene steps away from the halls of Congress, she is not disappearing. She is likely preparing to become a powerful, independent voice, one that could redefine the populist right and challenge the Republican establishment, including Trump, for years to come. The future of MAGA is no longer a monolith. It is a contested space, and the battle for its soul has just begun. Thank you for tuning into The Political Pulse.
Hi, everyone. I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C., and just never fit in. Americans are used by the political industrial complex of both political parties, election cycle after election cycle, in order to elect whichever side can convince Americans to hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher, corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts, American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interest, and the spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income, as both parents have to work in order to simply survive. And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless for their future and don't think they will ever realize the American dream. And that breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day believing that Make America Great Again meant America First. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies because I believe God creates life at conception, and I love to fight for the little guy. Strong, safe borders, I have fought hard for that. I've fought against COVID tyrannical insanity and mandated mass vaccinations, and I've never voted to fund foreign wars with your hard-earned tax dollars. However, with almost 1 year into our majority, the legislature has been mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly, resulting in the House not working for the entire time, and we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on in the House of Representatives. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing to proactively work diligently to pass a plan to save Americans' health care and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session working every day to fix this disaster. But instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle on television every single day. My bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other bills like eliminating capital gains taxes on the sale of your primary home and eliminating H-1B visas. Just sit. They all sit collecting dust. That's how it is for most members of Congress bills. The Speaker never brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their bills have gone up over the past 5 years, they actually do their own grocery shopping and know food costs too much. Their rent has increasingly gone up and up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa holding replacement. The college degree they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big 6-figure salary. They see more homeless people than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent and love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years. The district is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, hardworking people you will ever meet. Good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated dangerous open border invasion into America. And I led the effort to defund hard-left politically biased NPR and PBS and the corrupt USAID, and I did that as chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump and Republicans to power. I traveled the country for years. I spent millions of my own money. I missed precious time with my family that I can never get back. And I showed up in places like outside the New York courthouse in Collect Pond Park against a raging leftist mob as Trump faced Democrat lawfare. Meanwhile, most of the establishment Republicans who secretly hate him and who stabbed him in the back and never defended him against anything have all been welcomed in right after the election. And I will never forget the day I had to leave my mother's side as my father had brain surgery to remove cancerous tumors in order to fly to Washington, D.C. to defend President Trump and vote no against the Democrats' second impeachment in 2021. My poor father and my poor mother, it was way too much for all of us. Through it all, I never changed or went back on my campaign promises and only disagreed in a few areas, like my stance against H-1Bs replacing American jobs, AI state moratoriums, debt-for-life 50-year mortgage scams, standing strongly against all involvement in foreign wars, and demanding the release of the Epstein files. Other than that, my voting record has been solidly with my party and the president. Loyalty should be a two-way street, and we should be able to vote our conscience and represent our district's interests because our job title is literally representative. America first should mean America first and only Americans first, with no other foreign country ever being attached to America first in our halls of government. Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for. However, while yes, hurtful, my heart remains filled with joy, my life is filled with happiness, and my true convictions remain unchanged, because my self-worth is not defined by a man, but instead by God, who created everything in existence. You see, I have never valued power, titles, or attention, in spite of all the wrong assumptions about me. I do not cling to those things because they are meaningless and empty traps that hold too many people in Washington. I believe in term limits and do not think Congress should be a lifelong career or an assisted living facility. My only goal and desire has ever been to hold the Republican Party accountable for the promises it makes to the American people and put America first. And I have fought against Democrats' damaging policies like the Green New Deal, wide open, deadly, unsafe border policies, and the trans agenda on children and against women. With that has brought years of non-stop, never-ending personal attacks, death threats, lawfare, ridiculous slander and lies about me that most people could never withstand even for a single day. It has been unfair and wrong, not only to me, but especially to my family, but it's been wrong to my district as well. I have too much self-respect and dignity. I love my family way too much, and I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious. I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better. If I am cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine and replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military-industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never ever relate to real Americans, then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. There is no plan to save the world or a 4D chess game being played. When common American people realize and understand that the political industrial complex of both parties is ripping this country apart, that not one elected leader like me is able to stop Washington's machine from gradually destroying our country, and instead the reality is that they, common Americans, the people, possess the real power over Washington, then I'll be here by their side to rebuild it. Until then, I'm going back to the people that I love, to live my life to the fullest as I always have, and I look forward to a new path ahead. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026, and I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Yeah.